Hi guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're talking Topps and Panini, mainly Topps, and looking at sort of my predictions for the future and my sort of wish list in regards to the sets that they will bring out, particularly when they get hold of that Premier League license, which we know is confirmed as of next season. So for the 2025-26 season, they will have the Premier League license Topps, and this is, a bit of a shock for people that are in the soccer card hobby, and certainly that have only come about in the last few years. As we know, Topps have had previous licenses with the Premier League, and you can see here that they had, in the mid-70s, they had the license to the First Division in English football, and then Panini took that license and released some nice sticker sets throughout the 1980s, very much a sticker dominant sort of decade. And then into sort of the Premier League era, that's where Topps sort of regained that license and released cards and stickers from 93 up until 2018-19. And then, yeah, Panini took over. We saw Prism for the likes of from 2019 up until now. And of course, that license will finish up in this season, so 2024-25 season. So it's exchanged hands a bit, but for the most part, it's certainly been with Topps, and it's really only been, I suppose, Panini have had the license for the last 5 or so years, but it's certainly not anything new. Topps, for me, in my opinion, I do prefer Premier League product to be with Topps, but Topps do have their disadvantages and negatives in regard to how many sets they actually produce nowadays. And we can see a graph here. These are the total amount of Champions League sets they've produced. Of course, the Panini had the license to the Champions League for a good period up until 2015. And then we can see with the increase in demand of soccer cards, Topps have really taken off in terms of the sets. And this is not even showing the 2023-24 season sets. I presume around the 30 mark again. But, we've gone from maybe in 2018-19, 5 or 6 sets up towards now 30 sets, which is pretty crazy. That, for me, isn't really sustainable when you think about Topps now having the Premier League license for next season. They can't be releasing 30 Champions League sets and 30 Premier League sets. I mean, they certainly could. Obviously, owned by Fanatics, they can... Who knows what they're capable of in that regard. But I think it would be a real shame if they just flooded the market with, 30 odd sets for each of these tournaments. And of course, they've got fan sets, like team sets. They've got a lot of licenses to a number of clubs. So they'll just be rolling out so much product. And I think now that they've got the Premier League, I think they should sort of take back on some of the Champions League stuff, replace that with some Premier League. And as a result, potentially even release 30 sets in total, covering both those two Champions League and Premier League. So that's kind of my hope. And this amount of sets that's released isn't particularly good when it comes to, you could argue that we're in a bit of a junk hit era, in my opinion. There's so many sets, and that's got to affect prices and the future relevance of the hits and the parallels, autographs that we have in product nowadays. You can just take a look at this photo here. This is a number of gold Haaland cards from Topps, Champions League products. There's plenty more of these. And there's, it just really, there's a lack of relevance to these type of cards moving forward. Haaland, of course, in this season had a fantastic year. Not so much at the moment. But, his cards should be relevant. But ultimately, you've got so much variety, so many alternatives, meaning that, these cards aren't going to hold up too much in the future, which is a shame because, in the past, when you talk about Premier League sets, for example, prior to, say, 2020, there was really only 1 or 2 Premier League sets that would come out each season. By 2024-25, there could be quite a lot more. I expect there should be more, but it needs to be... not a crazy amount as we're seeing in the Champions League. I did a poll quite a while back now on my Instagram, covering pretty much all the Champions League sets that have come out in the last couple of seasons. There are a few here that aren't actually, I didn't add, likes of Dynasty. It's more of a bit more of a recent set that's come out. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to justify keeping one and getting rid of one. A lot of these sets really don't hold up in terms of their appeal to collectors. So, you can really quite comfortably pick and choose and, just get rid of one set in general, because there isn't a huge collector base for that. And as a result, once you start to get rid of some of these poor sets, I mean, I do agree with quite a lot of the voting results here. There are some that I feel like, take Topps Total Football, for example. I actually feel that's quite an important set. It's different. You can buy these cards via the app and get them printed and sent out to you. So it's a different alternative. But something like Jade, for example, or the variations to it that we're seeing to the Chrome cards, I don't think are warranted really. And yeah, as you can see, lots of sets have come out over the past seasons that we've seen in the Champions League. So here is my sort of table of how can we include some of those sets, actually make them into Premier League products as opposed to Champions League. So we've stripped back all the Champions League sets to maybe 12 or so sets that I feel should hold up and continue being made. So with Hobby, we're seeing Finest, Stadium Club, Chrome, and Sapphire. I think they should all be mainstays. And you've probably noticed that Merlin's not on that list. I think that should actually go over to the Premier League products. I don't want to see too much crossover in, and I'm sure it will happen, but I don't want to see too many crossovers between, Stadium Club, there being a Champions League set, and then a Premier League set, and then Finest, Premier League, and Champions League. I expect that to be the case with Chrome. I wouldn't be surprised if they certainly do have Chrome for Premier League and Champions League, and that's fine, and then probably Sapphire too. But I feel like likes of Finest, Stadium Club, Merlin, they should all be in their own tournament or league. And for me, personally, I think maybe Merlin should go with the Premier League. Likes of Finest and Stadium Club could go with the Champions League. Smaller sets like Deco and Summer Signings, I think are good small sets to get to have in the hobby, And then we're looking at lower end sets like Flagship, which I think is a good entry level product for collectors. That should certainly stay, potentially even Superstars as well. More of a cheaper, more accessible alternative. And then high-end sets, Museum, Dynasty. I don't have Inception on there. I'm thinking maybe that could be a Premier League set in the future. But, I don't think you should have too many high-end sets. I think, one or two per license would be good. And then, of course, continuing on with the Topps Now and the Topps Total Football collections. So there, as you can see, there's more than enough sets there to collect. And for the Champions League, if we go over to the Premier League, so in terms of hobby, I've gone with Merlin and then Chrome and Sapphire. I think that's enough from a hobby perspective, but I've got a few smaller sets, new introductions that I think would make really good sets to collect that I personally would be really interested in having. So first up is Platinum. Platinum is a set. Topps Premier Platinum came out in 2017-18. It was, so one-off set, and it was a really cool set. I'll talk about more of these sets and how they will sort of lay out and how I envision these sets to look. But I think Platinum could be an option as a smaller set, maybe a 100-card base set or something. Same goes with Premier Gold. Premier Gold is, without doubt, the most well-known brand in regard to Premier League soccer cards. From 1993 up until 2018-19, Premier Gold was very much, a mainstay brand. There were a few years that they didn't have it, but it was, quite a lot of sets were made Topps and Merlin Premier Gold. So I think that definitely should make a comeback. And then a Hall of Fame set, I think that would be great to see. We saw Panini actually make a Hall of Fame Premier League set. They They did it for like one season, but they didn't continue it. So, bit of, it would be really cool to see a complete Hall of Fame collection. They don't have to release every player. Maybe they could release, a handful of players each year, and people can collect that set over time. So I think that's a really good option to have. As far as a low end set goes, I think Premier Club. Again, we saw Premier Club in 2014 and 2015. Good entry level, cheaper product to get hold of, similar to a sort of flagship in relation to the Champions League. Then, yeah, high end. I mean, there could be a few options here. There's Inception that maybe could cross over to the Premier League. We've also heard rumours of Merlin Ultimate, which previously was a Premier League product back in 1995-96, as being maybe a high-end set for the Champions League. Maybe that could transition over to the Premier League. But yeah, regardless, there needs to be at least one, probably two high-end Premier League sets moving forward. We've seen that with the Premier League, Impeccable. People really like Impeccable and those sort of sets. So definitely need to have, some of those. And then, yeah, Tops Now, I presume, will continue on within the Premier League. Maybe even Living Set or Tops Total Football can make that crossover as well. So let's dig a bit deeper into those few sets that I've mentioned as options to have for Topps Premier League products. First one is Platinum. So Platinum is, a foil finished card. It should have a real quintessential Premier League design to it. That's what I would hope for. It should be, I'm pitching a 120 card base set. So for me, that is a nice number to have, 120 cards. We see quite often sets, whether it's Panini Prism, 300 cards, Topps Chrome, 200. It's fairly excessive. I think you can have a really strong 120 card base set, 6 cards per team, so it's evenly distributed, and I'm pitching 60 inserts. So yeah, and that can be evenly distributed, 3 per team. There can be 20 new signings, 20 global stars, and 20 icons. So you're covering the basis of there being sort of new signings, global stars, 20 icons, and specifically all these players in the inserts actually are not in the base checklist. So we're not seeing double offs of players. So we're getting essentially 180 different players in this base and insert checklist. Parallels go 100 out of 100, out of 50, out of 25, out of 10, one of ones. So not many parallels to collect, but we're looking at true colors and, cool rainbows. Nothing crazy like we're seeing with Chrome, where there's all these different variations of speckles and waves and all that. Pretty simple, 5 or so parallels to chase. This one is going to be 2 autographs per box, so it's kind of similar in its format to Finest. 2 autographs per box, maybe about 4 numbered cards per box, and all told, boxes may go for about $2.40. We're saying maybe $10 a pack. So not a cheap option, but very similar to, say, Finest in price point and sort of configuration of having 2 autographs, but yeah, not as many parallels as we see. And that continues on with more products. Premier Gold. Really, really want to see Premier Gold back. It's a classic product that needs to return with its gold embossed logo. That's an important factor. I really want to see nice quality looking cards when it comes to Topps. We don't see that a lot. They make so much product that their sort of quality of printing and quality of the card drops off, particularly with these smaller sets. So I really would like to see a bit more, care and attention towards these sets and making them look really nice. Premier Gold could be a 90 card base set, so a bit smaller, and I would really love it if it's a completely different players to what we've seen in Platinum. So Platinum's 120 cards, 90 cards Premier Gold. I would love to see completely different players, and you're able to do that comfortably, particularly with the big teams. I mean, big teams have got 15 top players that you could easily choose from. So I mean, it's pretty easy to to have that variance. I'm pretty sick of seeing the same players roll out all the time in sets. So it would make it certainly desirable to collect if there's different players to chase in each of these products. So could be 32 inserts. We're looking at inserts being team of the year. So every player that's in the team of the year gets an insert, even a manager card for the manager of the year. And how about 20 cult heroes? So a lot of these inserts titles that I'm talking about are all soccer specific. They have some sort of relevance to the sport, to the league, and I would love to see some pretty cool cult heroes for each of the clubs in the Premier League. They could be some really obscure names as well, but fan favourites for every team to collect. So I think that's a great approach. And in regard to the parallel front, I would really love to see a set that's kind of similar to that of the Merlin Serie A set from '99, whereby there was a silver parallel, so unnumbered parallel, but also I actually think there was gold back in the day for the Merlin Serie A set. But then there's ruby parallels. So the golden boss logo is just replaced by ruby colored, and all these cards are numbered out of 100, and that's it. There's no other numbered cards to chase. It's strictly the rubies and then the unnumbered silver parallels. I think that would be really nice because it's I think so many sets nowadays are so reliant on different numbered cards and that the chase for a one of one. But I think we can really strip it back and just say, what, there's only a couple different parallels to chase in this product. Get autos though, so the one per box, and as a result, because we're not chasing one of ones, box prices should be a lot cheaper. So we're talking, $120 a box, $5 a pack. This is the sort of stuff that I really would love to see. Decent amount of cards per box, whereby it'll give you a really good opportunity to get close to completing a base set and getting a lot of inserts. That's what I want as a collector. I want to be buying a box and knowing that I've got a really good chance of getting 75-80% of the base, and maybe obviously needs some more inserts to chase, but good amount of cards per box, good pricing as well. I don't really want to be paying more than sort of $10 a pack. I think $5 is a great affordable amount for all collectors, my age, but younger collectors as well. And it certainly will, I think, be a great product to have. So Premier Gold. Then I've touched on Hall of Fame. So yeah, you can have that same sort of approach to what Panini did, maybe an 8-card set, 4 of which are inductees, maybe 4 nominees. We see, the Premier League rollouts Hall of Fame inductees each year. So it'd be cool to see. And there can be parallels to those cards as well. And yeah, a retail price similar to that of Panini that they did a couple of years back. And then the very last set that I've sort of introduced, all of these Platinum, Premier Gold, Premier Club, these are all, sets that were released prior in the Topps license from, these, I think Premier Club was around 2014, 2015. And this is very much an entry-level product, accessible. I want to be seeing this type of product at news agencies, at supermarkets, for kids to get hold of and only pay a few dollars a pack for some cards. They shouldn't just be restricted to buying Match Attack and Adrenaline. We need these entry-level products to get kids hooked on these type of sets and work their way up, because a lot of the time they just buy Match Attack, buy Adrenaline, and gradually outgrow those game type cards. This needs to be an option for them, for Premier League fans. Bigger checklist, 180 cards, 9 cards per team. They'll look really nice on a 9-pocket page. Each team is represented on one page. Say 54 inserts. We're looking at 20 club badges, 20 star players, 10 future stars, and 4 accolade cards. So they can have player of the year from the previous season, young player of the year, maybe the top scorer from the previous season, and maybe a EPL winning team card for whoever won the league previously. So as you can see from the inserts that I've put out over these few sets, there really isn't that many legend cards. Yeah, there's a 20 Cult Hero set, but apart from that, it is pretty dominant on the current crop of players, and that's what I want to see. I want to see an over saturation of legend cards. Yeah, I think if you're releasing a handful of Premier League sets each year, there should be one or two of those sets that have some sort of legend card attached to them. But Topps and Panini just keep rolling them out. I really want to see them prioritize the current crop of players. So that's why I think, yeah, 20 star players, 10 future stars, focusing on present day players as much as possible. And if they are to go into sort of the legend cards, mix it up. Don't just have the same guys all the time. Have legends represented from each of the teams. And just this. Take Chelsea for example. You don't have to have Lampard and Drogba every time. You can go back and pick Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank or Michael Essien. There's so many legends of the past that you can draw to. So yeah, with Premier Club, this again could be a set where there's literally no numbered parallels. It's strictly unnumbered parallels, maybe a silver, gold, blue in the inserts, and maybe all the base cards literally are base cards. There's no parallels to them, which I think is a good idea, because what I see a lot with product nowadays, it's so reliant on, okay, the base card kind of looks pretty bland. They need to make it look bland in order to have the nice looking parallel, the colors attached to it. We see that a lot with, say, white bordered cards, and then all of a sudden they look a lot better once they're got a nice colored border to them. I feel as though just make nice looking cards as they are. They don't have to be parallels to make them look good. Just make some nice quality designs, and that's what Premier Club would be. And yeah, just with the inserts, maybe they could have those colored variations, an autograph per box, and yeah, as a result, we're looking at a cheap product, not focused in on numbered cards. It's strictly a lot of cards, base, inserts, an autograph. You could get lucky, you could get a big name, and you're only paying $3 a pack. So that's my approach. I think that those three sets, yeah, they're on the low end in terms of price tag, but when you're talking about Chrome and Merlin and Sapphire, and then those high-end sets, they can certainly appeal to the high-end collectors. So that's my approach in terms of those few sets. As I've mentioned before, I'm a bit sick of the insert sets that have been rolled out by Panini of late. That's why I'm actually really encouraged by Topps taking over the license. Panini really kind of use the same type of inserts across multiple sports. We see that with Prism a lot, and you can see here Instant Impact, Fireworks, Emergent. It's just really sort of repetitive, and there's no real soccer specific relevance to them. So I'm excited to see what Topps can do. I feel like they may not have the big names in terms of Color Blasts and Kabooms, but I feel like they put a bit more effort in towards mixing it up when it comes to inserts. So I'm hopeful in that regard, and hopefully maybe if anyone's watching this from Topps, they've highlighted some of the types of inserts that they can introduce into sets. I've touched on as well in terms of the cards. I really want to see a bit more effort in regard to the back of cards. If you just take a look at this Frank Lampard example, the back of the card is full with stats and info and a nice dynamic photo, and really just jam-packed with information that you can easily read and look at, as opposed to sets we see with Panini and Topps. Pretty boring. It's a bit of a blurb on the player. No one reads that. It really lacks any sort of interest. And we see with Topps as well, sometimes they don't even do that. They just put like a club logo on the back and that's it. So I think they can really make a bit more effort in terms of the back of cards. And a few examples there. So yeah, that's my pitch. a few ideas in regards to what Topps could do regarding their products moving forward. I'm really hopeful that they can strip it back, not release as many Champions League products, maybe make up for that by releasing some of the Premier League stuff. As a result, not as many sets, and hopefully some good ones that can appeal to, low end, mid, and high end sort of collectors. So yeah, that's my pitch. Let me know your thoughts regarding Topps Premier League license moving forward in the 2025-26 season. I'm personally looking forward to it, but certainly am a bit nervous in regard to what they could produce. So we'll see. And yeah, let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you for the next one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Cheers.